my good friend Robbie Picard. However, he's not in his usual haunt of Fort McMurray. He's somewhere else, and he is definitely someplace else, not in his usual office. Robbie, tell me what you're doing. Where are you?
Well, I'm in Levack, Ontario, which is a small town just outside of Sudbury. After a bit of a hiatus and the great, amazing oil and gas world / oil sound strong bus, I'm back on the road, and I'm doing maybe a little bit of advocacy, giving out stickers and talking to regular Canadians, interviewing them for the magazine and airing their stories. And it's kind of been really kind of refreshing. Like when I picked up the bus has been in Sudbury for a little while. There was actually a See Me Off group that all came, and they watched the bus was in kind of like secured storage area, and I didn't realize how many people appreciated the bus, and even chased down a guy that tried to break into it throughout the course when it was parked. And it's been a really nice, and the amount of this bus alone, just the amount of talk and support that I've received has been excellent.
So what are you doing with the bus? You said you're doing oil and gas advocacy and interviewing people. What do you mean by interviewing people?
So I stop along the road and I try to find people that are interesting, and I tell their stories. So if it's, people that have, in some ways, oil and gas has, changed their life. It doesn't have to be necessarily an oil and gas story. I interview interesting people. I interviewed one guy from an antique store. One guy that I met was worth millions and millions, and another person that actually moved back to Sudbury, retired from working in Alberta, which is interesting because Sudbury's got a mine fate. And then my big plan is to eventually get this bus on the lot. I have stop a few MPs places and sell my merch along the way and interview people along the way. So that's essentially what it's doing. And I'm hoping to head there pretty quick to a specific place that's some hours north of here. However, there's different situations going on right now, so I'm a little bit kind of nimble.
Yeah. Let's talk about the situations that are going on right now, because while you were out on the road in Ontario, and I saw you over the weekend. Yeah, you were I think one of the most well-received speakers at our Rebel News Live event, as you always are. But as you and I were sitting there, you got an alert saying you were under evacuation notice one more time in Fort McMurray because of the wildfires. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's, I'll be honest, I'm trying to not lose my mind. So, and as you know, the last fire, I didn't hold any punches. I was pissed off. I was pissed off at the mayor at the time, the city, and the province. And frankly, I still am. This time, not as much. I feel like, so it's sort of like 2016 over again. One of my staff that works for me, his home with his wife and his 2 kids is literally the same area that my house burned down, 8 years ago. However, it's a different kind of fire, and I really truly believe they have it handled. Is there a risk? 100%. And the smoke is very dark. And what it is that there's this kind of the new growth. It's not, the last fire was very scary because it had these pine trees that were surrounding the town, and it kind of created this jumping effect. And that's why it went so fast. This one's more like a bushfire, kind of like you have in Saskatchewan and Alberta. You don't get as worked up. It's just so much stuff, right? So I'm my old neighborhood where my office, Robbie Picard has been evacuated, but their kind of people are still there. A lot of people have not left. I'm not overly concerned. I am headed home so that I wanted to, because I have a business to run and to support, my staff and be there to handle, because we have a lot to do. But I'm not overly worked up about it. I feel like our mayor, and I'm not just saying this because he's my friend, I really believe he's a kick-ass mayor, and I think they have an understanding. I do believe they've learned from the past. But after this is over, I do think we need to really look at, building a proper fire break around Fort McMurray, like lots of cities have. As I travel around the country, I'm noticing a lot of cities that have been around longer than Fort McMurray, and they have better infrastructure than we do. We have a lot of stuff, but we need to really think about how to make a community that's a bit more can't be susceptible to this. Now, everyone getting all the questions like, do you think this is mass climate change? I still believe in my heart of hearts that the forest is meant to burn. And every 20 to 30 years, it burns and it burns again. And if you look at other countries around the world that have addressed their forest issues and proper forest management, that's fine. But when you put cities, forests are meant to burn, and you're going to see us all look beautiful in a couple of years. So I'm not overly worked up. I'm definitely it does bring back memories that are hard. I want to make sure that everybody there is safe and okay. But I'm not, I'm in a weird spot right now because I back on the road in Ontario, which has taken a lot longer than it was supposed to get the bus started up, and I need to go home again. And the last time I had the bus in Ontario, I had to go home, and I thought I was coming back in a couple of weeks, and then that was a year and a half later.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, the fear mongers immediately get on oh, this is climate change. They don't see it, and they say, this just keeps happening over and over and over again in Canada. Yeah, because we live in the boreal forest, which is the world's first or second largest continuous forest. And we have, especially in the West here, forest communities that are plunked right in the middle of it. So, of course, you have these small cities in the middle of the world's largest continuous forest. Of course, they're going to be exposed to forest fires in a way that you don't see in other countries. And yet, of course, the scaremongers push this idea that it's climate change instead of just a normal cycle of the forest that you don't see in other places without the boreal forest.
Well, yeah, and it goes to show you too, one thing that I'm trying to be a little more level-headed than last time, but at the same time, Charlie Angus made that post, and somehow he's I really don't like that guy. I think he's a giant douchebag, and I really truly cannot wait to drive my bus close to his office. I mean, it might be a little delayed now just because I gotta get home, but I saw his tweets, and I thought that was just it just comes from a guy who's a long-standing 20-year politician, a sweet ass pension, who's really never had to do real work in his life other than play some shitty band. I really one thing I will say that I love about Ontario is the vast majority, and I'm not even talking minority, support us and want our pipelines. They want Canada to be amazing. Our GDP the Liberals did this under protest. They didn't want to do this pipeline. They had to, and I mean, I bet you they're thanking the gods right now because their disastrous management of our budget. When the Trans Mountain opened up, the GDP went up a little bit, and that's some good news. And Ontario, and when I spoke in Toronto, one of the things I said, and I stand by this, is Alberta is the heart of this country, and pump vital oil, which feeds the arteries, feeds the entire thing. And it's really nice to see that the average Canadians and the people here at Sudbury is a similar town to Fort McMurray, a very big mining town as an industry. Doesn't really crash on it. They always keep mines going somewhat. It's an interesting place, but everyone here supports us. So I'm hoping that, I think this fire in McMurray is going to be short-lived, and then I'll get back on the bus and I will complete the tour. And I feel I love the pace of the bus, and I stop, I talk to communities, I have coffee with people, I interview them. If I'm interviewing, some multi-billionaire celebrity, he gets the same treatment as just, Susie at the coffee shop there. And it's been an eye-opening experience.